Introduction to common issues with Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration. Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration allows you to connect your Azure SQL database to a virtual network, enabling private and secure communication between your database and other resources within the virtual network. However, several common issues can occur during the integration process. Step 1. Understanding virtual network rules. To resolve issues with Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration, you need to understand virtual network rules. Virtual network rules are used to control the traffic flow between your Azure SQL database and the virtual network. You must configure the virtual network rules correctly to avoid any connectivity issues. Step 2. Checking firewall settings. Firewall settings can also cause issues with Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration. Ensure that the firewall settings are configured to allow traffic between the virtual network and the Azure SQL database. You can do this by checking the virtual network subnet and the Azure SQL database firewall settings. Step 3. Verifying DNS resolution. DNS resolution issues can prevent your Azure SQL database from connecting to the virtual network. Verify that the DNS resolution is working correctly by checking the DNS settings of your virtual network and the Azure SQL database. Step 4. Troubleshooting connectivity issues. If you encounter connectivity issues, you can use the Azure portal or Azure CLI to troubleshoot the problem. Check the virtual network and Azure SQL database logs to identify the cause of the issue and take corrective action. Best practices for Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration. To avoid common issues with Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration, follow these best practices. First, ensure that the virtual network and Azure SQL database are in the same region. Second, use a consistent naming convention for your virtual network and Azure SQL database resources. Third, regularly monitor the virtual network and Azure SQL database performance to identify any potential issues. Conclusion. In conclusion, Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration can be complex and prone to issues if not configured correctly. By understanding virtual network rules, checking firewall settings, verifying DNS resolution, and troubleshooting connectivity issues, you can resolve common issues with Azure SQL Virtual Network Integration. Following best practices can also help you avoid these issues and ensure a smooth and secure connection between your Azure SQL database and virtual network.